But it was really good news that the Commissioner of Education for the state of Texas did come out and recommend to districts, said it was a district option, but recommended that districts do not double test the students, which is what we had been told to do in the fall by the Commissioner of Education. So AISD chose to honor that and go with that as well, so I'm really excited. Yes, ma'am.
All right, and so does that apply regardless of what grade the child is in? So I have a sixth grader in algebra, so she just has.
So she will just take the Algebra 1 EOC, and then next year she'll take the 7th grade test as a 7th grader, and then the 8th grade test. Right, isn't that interesting? We've already mastered algebra, and we're gonna go back and master 7th grade math. You just have to go with the flow sometimes, right? And honestly, what was the statistic? 60 to 65% of the SAT covers skills learned in 8th grade math, of the math on the SAT. It is critical math that the kids are learning. So it really is an important thing, and we really do need to know where all the kids stand, especially when we're compressing their learning so much and we're really accelerating them. We want to make sure we don't have any gaps in there. So it's not a bad thing at all. I want to remind everybody that we have the Keeling Center stage coming up. I'm really excited about that. We're going to have an auction for a principal for the day. Woo! They can carry the scepter, but really what they want to carry, they get one of these. So if they win, they get a radio to carry around. They get to be in the hallway reminding their friends not to be tardy. And they get to do 4 lunch duties. They may be excited about that. Diane and I, not so much. So we encourage you to come out to center stage. Susan, what's the date on that again? April 5th. It'll be so much fun. I had a blast last year for my first center stage, and it was so much fun, and it was such a nice, relaxed atmosphere to get to visit with parents and families. It was really nice.
And there'll be no children.
No children, right? I love that. Woo! Do y'all have any questions for me? Any concerns? Burning issues? Yes.
Real quick, I just remind everybody that we do have a video, and it is available on YouTube. So just be aware of that, and because we came just a little bit late, you want to restate the.
I will restate real quickly for all of the current Algebra 1 students. They will take one exam this year. They will take just the Algebra 1 end of course exam. Any student who is currently in Algebra 2 or Geometry will have to take their grade level test, because every student must be tested, and there is no longer an Algebra 2 or a Geometry EOC, end of course exam. So they have to take a test. So if they're in 8th grade, they'll take the 8th grade assessment. If they're in 7th grade, they'll take the 7th grade assessment. And it's just one of those things, everybody has to take a test. Fortunately, they don't have to take 2, which is what we had thought at the beginning of the school year.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thank you, Gina.
Can I ask a question real quick? I have a 6th grader going into 7th, and I was confused on the choice sheet about picking the math class for 7th grade. I had an older daughter go through Keeling, but it was 7 years ago, and I've kind of forgotten. Could you remind me how that happens, placement?
Right. You want to address that, Diane?
Sure.
I'll let you.
A whole lot of that, we're a lot less worried about what's on the choice sheet for math than we are almost anything else, because that's very much up to a conversation between the kid, the teacher, and the parent. I mean, not necessarily an individual conversation for every kid, but the teachers will actually recommend what they see is best for the kid. And
Okay.
there will be communication throughout that process.
And they take placement tests. They'll be taking placement tests to see where they need to be. Have they picked up what they need to be able to advance to the next level?
Thank you.
In our last KMag, we had both Ms. Hill and Ms. Dwyer. I don't know if you heard them, but they were here, and they gave a whole, half an hour about that. And that video is available on our website, or if it's not, it will be soon, but it's also out there on the KMag.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Now, if anyone has any more questions for Ms. Lowe, we have Ms. Carter talking about Magnet.
All right, so we survived getting all the letters out.
Great job, great job.
That was, you know, it's funny, Mary, as she gave me keys back in December, said, first she gave them to me pretty quickly. And then she also said, you know, you're jumping into this pretty much the busiest time of year for this position. And I was like, yeah, I got this. And she was right. And I felt it in full force the week before spring break. But our teachers pulled together. Julie Carolyn, those of you who know her, she is absolutely amazing, and there's no way could have gotten all of that done without her. But we did. We ended up putting about 767 letters in the mail on the Friday before spring break. And we accepted 331 sixth graders, 37 seventh graders, and 12 eighth graders. Approximately, based on previous data, about 77% or so of those will get their what's the word I'm looking for?
We'll confirm that they're coming,
Yeah.
they will accept
Acceptance
it.
agreement.
Right.
They will get their acceptance agreement back. That's the word I was looking for. And we've got about 73% of those so far already. So, so it's looking good. I've had, honestly, some really great conversations with parents of kids who didn't get in. Those are not easy conversations to have necessarily, but I've had some really good ones with folks that are, you know, just trying to figure out how to make the best of things for their kid, and understand why. And I am more than happy to answer that question and to kind of work through that with them. So I've spent a great deal of time this week working on that, and I'll continue on that next week. But on a completely different note, I just have to throw out there that, I don't know if you've heard, but the robotics team on March 8th, they went, yeah.
Did they win?
They, let's see, the North team came in second and has been invited to Legoland tournament, which sounds like fun to me. I just want to go to Legoland. But anyway, so I had to
That's awesome.
finish things on that note.
That's a great finish.
There you go.
I just wanted to make sure I heard the number right. You said 330 some odd acceptances you sent to sixth grade?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that more than we typically sent?
It's about 5 more than were sent last year. So.
Just said it probably, because if all of a sudden way more than 77% accepted, that'd be a really big.
You know, we
Understood.
discussed that. It's one of those things, you look at your percentage
Right.
every year and you just try to do your best guess. It's like invitations to a wedding, what percent are gonna actually show up,
Oh,
right?
I know.
So we just keep our fingers crossed, but
And how many are going to show up without RSVP?
Even better, how many are gonna show up with their little kids in tow to the wedding?
Oh, yeah, right. Yes, ma'am.
How many applied for 6, for example?
Let's see. Total applications for 6th grade was 639.
Okay. And then, of the 7th and 8th grade ones, obviously. On the 767 remaining.
Let's see. 7th grade 80, 94. 8th grade 44. Nope, 34.
Oh, you're doing the math.
Do
in
my
your head.
yeah.
Wow.
I had to
That's impressive.
think I'm okay with 7th grade math. Can't promise 8th grade, but no, I'm just kidding.
I did want to mention one other thing, since you mentioned about the robotics, I forgot to mention our band.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
that's right.
You should have read it in the Hornet Herald, but our band has been named as the most outstanding band in the state of Texas, middle school band in the state of Texas. They only name one band, and this is the Texas Bandmasters Association, and they particularly pointed out Mr. Gergel's history of excellence with our program in making that, in naming us as the band. So I believe that sometime they'll do a school board presentation at some point since it's a big honor, so we're excited about that. And congratulations to you band parents, all the hard work you do.
Have a fantastic school.
Yeah.
Does anyone else have any questions? All right. All right, thank you so much. So do we have meeting minutes from the 13th meeting?
Yes, they're passed out.
Okay, they're passed out. Did everyone have a chance to look at them? Do we have any corrections?
I move to approve those minutes.
All right, do we have a second?
I second.
Tina seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. All right, now we have Jo Garcia. There were a couple questions about UTeach I saw going around on the Keeling Community Board. She's here to talk about it briefly. If you want to come on up and stand in front of the camera.
Smile, please.
Yes.
Good morning. I'm Jo Garcia. I'm over the Young Scientist Program here at Keeling. This is Drew McWhorter. He is one of our UTeach staff members. And I just want to give you a little bit of a background about the Young Scientist Program. We've been here for 17 years, and we work with students that are primarily first-generation college. However, the students that we work with are mostly first-generation high school. So these are students that are coming from Title I schools that have demonstrated potential prior to coming here, and we continue working with them in an advanced pathway in a college readiness environment to be able to guide them towards college admissions. And one of the things that we focus on is year-round advanced enrichment. And so with that, Drew will tell you about our UTeach summer program.
So through UTeach at the University of Texas, we've run summer camps for a couple of years now, and I've presented to some of you before, but basically each year we do camps, and this year the camps that apply to your potential campers are Research and Life Science Camp for 7th through 9th grade, 7th and 8th grade Geology Camp, and it's our 6-week program, the UT Prep 1, which is the pre-freshman engineering program. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Tex Prep in San Antonio, but it's modeled after that very successful program. It's designed to have them come back each summer, and so over the summer they do advanced logic classes. We have some of the robotics and some of the later UT Prep 2, and each of these camps are very, very tailored. They're designed by the master teachers at the University of Texas, their curriculum is, and so then we have support from some of our top UTeach interns and other teachers and other staff who are actually performing research on University of Texas campus, where we'll tour their labs and different things like that. We come here because the stuff that we do, the people who enroll in camps for there help support scholarships for some of the kids that Jo mentioned, as well as get a lot out of the camps themselves. We have people that come back each year to take them. So we've gotten a lot of registrations, so we just wanted to present this opportunity. We have a few spaces left in life science, some in geology, and a few in UT Prep. But the information is all on these flyers, which I'll leave with you and not drop. Yeah.
Now, I have to add that we do follow the TEKS as the curriculum. We are approved by TEA. So students that successfully complete a year of prep are eligible to receive an elective credit that meets the high school graduation requirements. So that's an added bonus. The other thing is that we're in year 3 of our program, and it is a 5-year program. So we're continuing to develop the program, and we are looking at being able to offer internships at the university level for students that have completed the 4 years of our prep program. Now, as Drew said, one of the things that we work with is to provide opportunities for students, disadvantaged students. So we do have full scholarships available for the students that started, that are now going into year 3 and year 2. And we work with students that are not just magnet students, but we do in our program work with magnet and academy students. We started working with students out of Burnett Middle School, so we will continue to work with those students as well. But our current year for Prep 1, we are targeting only the Keeling community students, Magnet and Academy. We are hoping to be able to offer 10 full scholarships to those students based on interest and need and academic success. But the only way that we'll be able to do that is to be able to enroll other students that are able to pay the fees. So we are very happy that we are going to be able to be included in Center Stage this year. We do have new this year in our registration a donation link. So we are taking donations. We weren't able to get into Amplify Austin. Hopefully next year we will. But we have been successful in adding a donation link. So any amount will support the students that we work with. And the other thing is that, I know Ms. Lowe is not here, but she always says that, I am a UT employee, and my salary is fully funded by the university. So I provide a lot of support services, as Ms. Carter can verify, not just to the students that we work with, but to the school in general. So if you have any questions, we're...
Yes, I'm sorry, I missed part of your explanation of the possible elective credit.
TEA has approved our program, and we know that there is eligibility for students that are successful. They do have to test, just like a regular summer course, and we do have an attendance requirement. So based on the academic and attendance requirements, if they meet those, they are eligible once they get to high school to request an elective credit for each year that they participated in. So this will open up opportunities for them to take other electives that they wouldn't have been able to. Yes.
How long are these courses? Is it all summer long or what?
It's a 6 weeks program.
The UT Prep is.
Yes, UT Prep is a 6 weeks program. So we go for June 16th through 2 weeks, end of June, I believe. And then we're off the week of the 4th of July. And then we we resume again the last 4 weeks after.
How long is the day?
It's a full day. It's a full day program. It's from 8 to 4:30. However, we do incorporate team building activities. So students do have recreational. We do have reservations with our sports facilities. And so we do take them either swimming or to play racquetball or to the gym. So it is a well-rounded program. And in addition to that, we do have STEM awareness, career awareness. So we bring in professionals that are already in the STEM fields to come and talk to the students. We talk to them about college admissions. So it's a very well-rounded program in addition to being academically focused.
And UT Prep is also, they don't meet on Fridays either, so it's Monday through Thursday for UT Prep for that 6 weeks, with the exception of July 4th weekend. And then, then they have the Fridays off as well.
Yes.
Students are in young scientists.
I work with 50 students directly with the families and, pretty much a 24/7 kind of program. But I do from time to time have other students that come in just for our tutorial component. We do have a strong academic support program, and that is either through working lunches or one-on-one tutoring or the afternoon tutoring. And we can have, we have worked with as many as over 100 students on a regular basis. And that's Monday through Friday.
Do we have any other questions? Thank you very much for
Thank
coming.
you.
And thank you for all that you do for our school. We really
Thank you.
appreciate it. Thank you. And you have flyers to hand out. Do you have enough for everybody? Or?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. So now we're going to get on to our magnet transportation. Believe it or not, we have over 700 kids, over 227 square miles. They start as early as 6:15 in the morning and go after 6 o'clock at night. And that's how we get our kids to and from school. So we have Mr., and I'm going to blow the pronunciation, Havizadeh, Mr. Bonilla here. Perfect, right? And they are responsible for getting all of our students here and all of our students home with as few hiccups as possible. We're greatly impressed and thankful for all that you do. So.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I'm Chris Hafezi, Stili Bonilla, Assistant Director. Folks, just a couple minutes background here, and then and I have a couple of notes I want to answer. As you know, I can be here all morning if you all want. And when it was taped, when it was asked to tape, I said I'm okay with that. As long as you get from neck up. So I'm okay with that. And this is the first time I go to a school, other than being on media, that being videotaped. So this is great. Hello, everyone. So I used to work for actually Capital Metro a long time ago when we had the contract with Capital Metro. I dealt with Magnet Transportation for about almost 25 years now. 15 years with Capital Metro and 10 years, and this past 10 years with the school district. Folks, Capital Metro used to run the service, okay? And yes, they had air-conditioned buses and things like that. But when we started the contract with Capital Metro, when I was their contractor, we started it was about $95,000 a year for the entire thing. But then about 8 years ago, they wanted to raise it to about 1.2, 1.3 million a year. We couldn't do that. We cannot afford that. So that's why we thought about, hey, how about, we bring it in-house. Our buses do not have air conditioning, but a school bus is the most safest mode of transportation, okay? So that was part of the logistics as well. Overall, I think it's going well. Do we have issues? It will, yes. We're not 100%. We're never going to be 100%. So, but if there is an issue, we want to resolve it. We want to hear the parent, we want to hear the student, we want to hear the school official. So, and part of the thing is, now going back to 3 years ago, we created our stop bus policy, and it's all the parameters on our website, UTeach Transportation. Go on their transportation, we have the parameters posted on there. How we provide the service, how the stops are created, everything is on there. Basically, the stops are created within, at the max, 1.25 miles of the school, of the child's residence. Unless if it is a hazardous walk to go there, which we have many areas of town, we go very close to the house, or at some locations right by the house, because the student cannot walk to the stop. And we do that, because of a few things. One, if you have too many stops for crosstown busing, not for this school, we have 4 other schools that we do the same procedure, is you will have too many stops, then you will add to the travel time of the bus. When you have too many stops, you go through different neighborhoods. Number 2, also efficiency. We also want to think about efficiency and how we spend the money in our budget. So there is many things involved when you create routes and bus stops and additional routes and things like that. So that's the thing about that. Now, one question that comes up every orientation at the beginning of the school year for all crosstown busing schools, Keeling, Lhasa, Fulmore, and Richards, is how does the late activity buses work? At this school we have 11 late activity buses going all over town. All right. What we do is, well, now we just, it gets dark about 8 o'clock now, but it is not the same procedure as 1.25 miles that we have for the regular bus stop that we have to and from school in the morning and afternoon. If it gets dark, we go within a block of the student's residence. if it is still light out, within 2 blocks, okay? To make sure the child gets dropped off as safe as possible. Now, what happens with the late activity buses? It's not, again, like a to and from school bus in the morning and afternoon. We don't know at any given day which child is riding the bus or not riding the bus or attending, the late activity or not. That's, each bus is given a special area of town to serve. So what we ask the parents and the students to make sure the students know their address, number one, and also the nearest intersection. That will speed up the process for the driver because they have a map with them. They don't know every student's address when they come on board because we don't know who gets on, who doesn't get on. It will help the driver, it'll speed up the process. The driver, because our drivers, most likely, they will know that area of town. They will know that cross intersection. They can get there faster. So that's what I'm asking, to make sure your students know their address and the nearest intersection. That will help us a lot. Okay. One other thing I want to call, now, we did that in the past, but when I get back to the office, I will forward Ms. Carter our contact information for each terminal, for dispatchers, for the supervisor responsible for that terminal, Feely's direct line, my direct line, so you all can share that with the parents and, of course, your staff.
I can put that in the Hornet Herald on Sunday, or whenever I get it on a Sunday, just along with the video link.
We will do
We might
that.
already have that, because I worked and put together a whole explanation of the late bus process, and so we might already have that included
Okay.
in there, but we can either check that and/or we can add it to the whole summary that.
Right. One thing has changed, I don't know which one, you all have, starting this school year, we have a new terminal. So, last year we had 2 terminals, now we have 3 terminals. So I want to make sure everybody knows the correct terminal and an area of town. So we will do that. Now, one other question that comes up periodically about is, we have friends that they want to ride with another child going to their house. We can't let that happen every day, but, once a week or every other week or something like that, yes, that is acceptable based on availability of the space on that bus. Now, the student needs to go to the school official, there's a bus pass, so the driver, because we ask our drivers, they have a student list, a student rider list. So they see the bus pass, and it's a temporary pass, it's not a permanent pass. Okay, ride the bus today, or so the driver can know the student, can know they have permission to get on that bus. Because last thing we want, folks, it doesn't happen as often as middle schools. We don't want to have a child on the bus that is not assigned to that bus, and possibly the child gets off somewhere and the parent calls, where is my child? And if we don't have any records of that student on that bus, we have a problem. Then campus police and us, we're trying to locate a child, we don't know which bus they rode. So that's the issue.
Can I ask a question specific to that? Does that also apply, there was an incident earlier this year where, does it apply if a child is getting off at a different stop on their regular bus? So, within this, rather than getting off at the first stop in our neighborhood, somebody was wanting to go home, was going home with somebody else and wanted to get off at the second stop, and the bus driver said, no, you can't if you don't have these papers.
Communicate with the driver as a parent and a school official, so that driver knows. So that driver knows. We are very, we do this in our trainings, in our workshops with our drivers, the last thing we want folks to take any chances
Exactly.
of possibly losing a child.
Yeah.
So the direct communication with the driver would be
From a
an
parent.
awesome thing to do. Yes.
From a parent or a school official, so if a child just says it, they can't let them do that.
Yeah, it's, you know, if the child goes, and it does happen, you know, we do have some drivers, I mean, most of them say, no, this is your stop, I'm not gonna let you off. I'm sure we have some drivers that are like, okay, go ahead. It's not a perfect world, but what we are asking our parents to make sure, communicate with the driver that this child, instead of this stop, is gonna be getting off that stop. Yes, ma'am?
Question along that same lines. Schools have different bus drivers in the morning and the afternoon. So
Right.
is it sufficient for us to send a note with our child saying, my child has permission to get off at this stop, so that they can give that to the afternoon bus driver, or do we have to call the bus office or something and tell them?
I would call the bus office just to make sure,
Okay.
just to make sure, okay? The terminal supervisor, we will provide you that. I know, they're kidding, and the only reason, let me just touch on that, you know, briefly, if you would, please. The reason you all folks know, in the morning, again, part of efficiency, Keeling and Lhasa students, they ride together. From here, we shuttle Lhasa to Lhasa. Because we can't do 20 buses to provide a double trip. That would be very inefficient service. That's why in the morning sometimes, and then in the afternoon, they're separated, because we provide completely Lhasa different than Keeling. So that's the reason for different buses. Yes, ma'am?
I was gonna say, if you Google Keeling Lake, Keeling Bus Pass or something, because my sons use it all the time, they neither are bus riders normally, because we live within a walking radius of Keeling.
Uh-huh.
You just go on Google, you print it out, it's got a checkbox. My child would like to ride a bus with a normal bus rider. My child would like to get off at a different stop. My child would like to, and it's super fast, my kids find it on Google in 2 seconds, so my son is riding a bus tomorrow. He got on the internet, and I sign it, and then you just take it to the magnet office, so it's a super fast process to Keeling,
Yeah.
and it's a Keeling form.
Yeah,
It's
all
on
the
our website.
It is.
I can put that on the Hornet Herald too.
Yeah.
It's really easy, and then you know, everybody's check, and Julie Carolyn signs it, and it's just fast.
And it's on our, yeah, thank you. I mean, would you
It's
like
on
to
the
work for
Keeling.
transportation? That's awesome, thank you.
KeelingHornets.org, there's a, I stay with the late buses, that's why I'm in here listening. The KeelingHornets.org, a parent and I put together a handbook and a packet. So there's a copy of every route that those 11 late buses take. There's a handbook that we put together with what the best information is for your child to know. It tells you what days I work, it tells you what days Ms. Spears works. And then it's got a link to the website he's referring to, so you can click directly on the link, and it gives you their information, the contact number to each terminal, and you know how the routes work. It's got a direct link to their website. But at KeelingHornets.org, I just made sure it's on there. I'll move it up to the top page today when I get back over to my office so that you can click on it. But it's got all the information you're talking about.
What's your name?
Kendra, I'm the school secretary.
Thanks.
So, this is what we do.
Well, thank you very much. It is an incredible operation that it all works. Do we have some questions? Or just
Yes.
Just wondering, projected plan for next year for transportation modeled as our current situation for magnet buses? Good question.
Very good question. You know, every year, you know, we go through some difficulty with budgets and things like that. At this time, we will remain the same, okay? We make decisions based on best interest, of course, the students come first, first. And also, we gotta see as a district what we can provide, what we cannot provide. At this time, we will remain the same. I have not had any final discussion that anything will change. That's at this time.
By that, do you mean that you're gonna have the same number of buses and the same number of routes? Because I can tell you, I was very unhappy with our last change. We'd have, and for our buses, 615 versus, or 619 versus 644 is a big change.
Right.
And I was told by your staff member, well, we make that decision in May, y'all don't notify us until August, and we
Right.
can't make a change. She told me, it's done, you can't make a change.
Okay.
And the route is so convoluted.
Right.
You know, if you're late, some of us like, oh, let's go to the last stop on the route because
Yeah.
hopefully it's our rescue stop. And those stops are eliminated because the kid's not there anymore, doesn't use it. So my concern is, how do y'all decide? I mean, it looks like y'all just throw pixie sticks.
No.
And, cause we live on William Cannon and Mopac, it goes
Right.
to Brush Country and Slaughter, then it comes
Right.
back on Mopac. I'm like, why don't y'all go out and then come back? It just
Okay.
seems very
Well,
convoluted.
there's a couple of things involved here. Every year, all the routes may change, not only for this school, for all other schools. It's based on enrollment and the students that leave the district. What we do, our transportation software is directly imports all the student data from the student services teams, which is the software for the district, the student services. It puts it in ours, and then we make the routes based on the students that are eligible for transportation. Okay? So the route direction and times, yes, that may change year to year, okay? And so that will happen because we cannot keep the same stop or the same route over and over every year because we have new students coming out and others, and then the students graduate or go to the middle school to high school, okay? So the routes will change, but overall concept of transportation policy for magnet transportation, we are not, at this time, we are not changing that. But the stops and routes may change from year to year, and we have that on our website. We can't keep the same routes for the same stop for entire 5 years. We cannot do that, because then we will have inefficient system, then we have more routes, more trips. We are not able to. Yes,
So
ma'am.
in a way related to that, my daughter, her father and I share 50 joint custody of her, and I need her to be assigned to 2 different bus routes. So I couldn't get that done for this year. She gets the bus to his house, but I have to bring her to school and pick her up every day when I have her. So how do I get her assigned to 2 routes? When do I have to do that so that by the time you start planning your routes, you've got her dual assigned? And how do I add a stop? There's a bus that she says goes very close to where we live, but we need to ask to have a stop added.
Okay, to answer the first one, we schedule according to the registered address to the school district.
Okay, we have 2 addresses. She does not have primary custody anywhere. We have 2 equal addresses.
Right. So we import the primary address and we can provide service to one address only.
So what do I do for the other 50% of the school year?
The other 50% of the school year, you can, the student can ride on the different bus. You can notify or fill out the form if there is a space available on that bus.
But that doesn't solve our need. These are
Yeah.
both permanent addresses. This isn't, visiting Great Aunt Susie. These are both permanent addresses that we've had for the last 4 or 5 years. And
Okay.
I don't know how to get my daughter on bus transportation when she's with me as opposed to when she's with her dad.
Okay.
So what do I do? How do I get her on? Because you said that we can't do a bus pass every single day. You don't want to see
Yeah.
that.
With students with riding a different bus, we have no problem with that, as long as we know and it's communicated to us and there is room available on the other bus. We cannot assign one student to different addresses for transportation. We
Okay.
cannot do that permanently.
I hear you say that, and I
Yeah.
understand that. I can't be the only parent in the whole school district whose child lives with divorced
That
parents.
comes up,
So-
that comes up. One thing I can do, check with our software company if we are able to do that. At this time, we can't do that because we are if we are doing that, let's say we have 22,000 riders per day, okay? If about 5,000 have the same situation, then we are creating additional 5,000 trips and 5,000 stops for the same address. That is part of our issue. That's why we provide for one address as a primary address that we import from district software.
So how do I determine which address is the permanent address? Because different mailings that we get from the school or different
Right.
forms have, some have our
That
dad's
should
address, some
be-
have mine, how do I know which is the permanent address?
I bet you if you call the school secretary, they would be able, I bet you Kendra would know,
Should
how to be
have
able to
that.
have that and tell
Okay.
you which one that is.
Okay,
I will be glad to also assist it. You can, I'll give you my direct line, so you can call me. I'll be glad to look into it.
okay,
It's 414-0240.
okay,
And
thank you.
then just call me Speedy Munia, and I'll be glad to look into it.
Okay, thank you, I appreciate the help.
You're very welcome.
Because if we have a space available, you let us know. We have no problem with child writing.
Sure.
That's for any other student in the district, as long as we know about it.
And I just wanted to provide some feedback to you. I've had a child in the magnet program for, right after the Cat Metro contract ended. So, seeing a few changes go through in terms of pickup and routes, some stop elimination processes. And I just want your office to know that we are very appreciative of the expansion of not just having school-based hubs. That would have created great difficulty for my family.
That was one of the discussions 2 years ago.
Yeah, and I feel like it would have increased danger to the elementary school because of the time of day of pickup. And now our kids have to cross a pretty major thoroughfare. We're getting some very dangerous situations on Escarpment Boulevard in particular. So I'm very appreciative that you all have expanded it. We have a huge number of kids at our stop in the morning, so obviously there's a great need. So I'd like to put my vote in if anybody's wondering. They are appreciated and we think logically enhanced. So.
Well, thank you. So that's what it is now. I mean, again, things may change in the future. But any other questions? Yes.
When is the final decision made about whether we're going to have buses and how many and where the routes are going to be?
Well, we will have transportation. There is no, kids got to come to school. But we haven't, I truly don't believe that it will go drastically, okay, don't do any transportation for magnet. No, that's not the point. But maybe changing like the way it is done, possibly. There is ideas out there. There's ideas out there, folks, that do we charge a fee? I mean, there's other districts, they charge fees for transportation. If it is a hazardous area, they do that. There's districts out there. Within 2 miles, we have a district policy of a hazardous, walk to school. Then we provide transportation. There's districts out there, they charge fees for that. We don't. We don't.
That's a decision that would be made at the school board level and then passed down to you, is that correct?
Exactly.
Right,
That
so
is not-
that's where that decision is made. Any major
Yeah,
changes would be
I'm not-
made there.
I understand that. I just want to know when the final decisions are made.
About routes or about?
routes
About
About routes,
And all of these options that you're talking about, that I
Okay.
know that the transportation system doesn't decide,
Right.
but has input, when are those decisions going to be made?
well, about routes, creating routes, we will post them, everything will be mailed to the eligible riders by mid-August, okay? If there's any drastic changes at this time in the school year, for following the school year, I don't see it. I don't see major changes, okay? Things may come up, okay, let's review, let's see what we can do possibly for 15-16 school year. Drastic changes, because we only have 2 months left of the school year. You don't make decisions during the summer changing policies because people are not here. If at this late of the game, I don't see any drastic changes for next school year, unless the stops are changed or the routes are changed. But big picture stuff, I don't see it.
We only have a few more minutes. We've got kids that are gonna be coming in here real quick, so.
Well, can I add something? Well, we're talking about final decisions, but you can always request that a stop be added or changed.
Right.
And I did that at the beginning of the year, and I had an extremely positive experience. I put in my request, it was granted partially and rejected partially, but I was just expecting it to happen or not happen. And I got a phone call telling exactly what was changed and explaining why the one change that I requested was not. And it was very satisfying to me and very nice to get that level of service. And I was amazed that you all are able to provide that really nice service.
In the beginning of the school year, it takes us a few more time to get out there. Usually even the director goes out there and checks the route. We have a safety supervisor. I myself go out there. The operations supervisor from each terminal. So when we get that email, when we get a phone call, says my stop is dangerous or hazardous, we do physically go out there. Again, in the beginning of the school year, we get bombarded by everybody over the district. So, we try to prioritize and then we go. We will get back to you. Again, you will have our direct line. Please call us and let us know. Please email us. You know what, I've been waiting a week, 2 weeks. Can you please let me know the status?
Last year in our neighborhood, we worked with somebody over the summer through email to try to get our routes not so early in the morning. I mean, it's still early, it's like 6:23, but because previous years we heard like, oh, it was a 6 o'clock bus stop, right? So we were working with somebody in the department, and but it turned out we got started with them a little late. So I'm trying to, if we want to try to do that again, because it sounds like every year it's a clean slate. You're not really looking at what was last year for stops. So when should we start that process so that they don't say, hey, it's a little too late now, and then we had to sort of do it after the fact?
You can start now.
Okay.
You can start now. But folks, we import the new students' information and everything gets set up during the summer. I mean, you can email us so we can have that on the log, but no promises that will be made or not.
And based on the number of students, we're just gonna have to have some students that get picked up early, and it's unfortunate, but you just can't move that many students that far, I would guess.
Yeah,
Just
I mean,
have-
the
somebody has
unfortunate
to-
thing is the students that get picked up first also get dropped off last. I can see why that's more efficient for the bus route, but it's gonna create for.
Yeah.
Folks, I started as a bus driver at Capital Metro. My route was Magnet Transportation. I live on Southwest Parkway, okay, in South Austin. My first route was past Oak Hill Y, 5 miles. I got lost, 5:15 in the morning. Capital Metro bus. So we have done that past 6 o'clock. It's still early, but we can do better. I'm sorry.
I just have one very minor specific request or suggestion regarding 6th grade orientation, the day that you do the trial runs in August, that Friday. You usually have a day for the whole district where they do the trial runs, and you're good about putting the little memo box about Keelings is different because of the time, because we have a longer orientation. But if you could please make clear on there that the students are gonna take their morning or afternoon bus route back at the end of orientation. Every year, that's a big confusion and a problem for the kids. And that's their first experience riding the bus, and it's scary for the parents, usually the first time. And
Are you saying sometimes they don't realize that they have to some of them have to take a different bus in the afternoon?
It's on there, it says morning route and afternoon route. Often what happens at 6th grade orientation is they still have to take the morning bus number home.
Ah.
For the orientation.
For orientation, and they don't know that, so they all come prepared with their afternoon bus number.
Okay.
And that's not what happens at orientation, and so it's
That's
just
really
chaotic every year. If you can just make that clear
Okay.
on your little pop-up box or whatever you do for
Okay, thank you.
6th grade orientation, it might help a little teeny.
Thank you.
Because they don't.
Might mention that at the meeting on Saturday too. The parent coffee or whatever it is.
No, that they'll remember it 6 months later.
They might, they're 6th grade parents.
All right, do we have any just last burning questions? Yolanda, is this what
Yes, I've asked once, if somebody else has.
Yep.
Does someone else have a?
No, I didn't.
Okay. You do? Oh, okay.
Okay, just, again, the suggestion, I don't know if you could make a suggestion to the school board, because I'm certainly making a suggestion. When they call for bad weather, on the website for AISD, it says by 6 a.m. And for many of us, that is not a really
Too
good
late.
time. It's too late.
Yeah.
You're on the way, and it's unsafe
Too
for
late.
the drivers, it's unsafe for the kids. So could they switch that to 5 a.m.? or
Okay.
5:30 even, just so that we're not on the road.
If you have a couple of minutes, I can explain that. Actually, this year was an awful year, folks. We never had a late. We lost a lot of sleep. So, one thing that happens is, and I totally agree with you, the district do not send notices of anything prior to 6 a.m. because they did that, I guess, in the past. They heard complaints about that. Don't come before 6 a.m. When that happens, then of course we have this situation. What we did this year, and we will keep the plan every year, I'm open, that we have between 5:30 and 6 o'clock, we have about 26 buses that they are on the road. Those parents will get the call earlier. We set up a totally different thing. If we want to do a school closure, I have the plan in front of me. It's a long plan. I sat with the superintendent and others. We went over the plan. When to call it, when to do a late start, when to close the schools, because what we do with our kids impacts UT, ACC, city, state, everybody. And all private schools and everybody piggyback on us. So to address exactly what you're saying, yes, we have the plan.
How do we
I'm
know
hoping
if we're
this-
one of those 26 buses?
Well, if you're not picked up between 5:30 and 6, then you're not.
Okay, so if you're picked up after 6, then
Right.
don't get notified. till 6.
We have some other students, we have many routes, like a NCLB and other special needs, and we do, we go to other districts. We start as early as 5:15, leaving our terminals, because we gotta go, i.e. to Del Valley, bring kids to Austin. So I'm talking about those routes.
And I think that's tremendous, and a great adaptation. I think that doesn't solve the problem of kids who get picked up at 6:15, because you're still on the way, at 6 o'clock, you're probably on the way to the school stop.
Well, if we have a late start or a school closure, the media and everybody gets the notification either the night before or early in the morning. The 6 a.m., the robocall goes out.
Right,
Yeah.
but I know for a fact that media did not, somehow it did not get communicated, and there were some
Okay.
children who were on the bus, getting on the bus at 6:10 and had to be called off the bus.
We had that the first day, you're right.
But
Yeah.
just, I know you don't control that, if you could
Okay.
remind them that we'll
Sure.
be reminding them too.
Okay.
All right. Well, we're gonna have kids in here relatively quickly. Thank you so very much for coming. Thank you for
Sure.
all that you do. We really do appreciate it. We have House Bill 5 questions still on our list, and we've got kids who are coming in here. So I'm gonna move that to next month's meeting. If you have any burning questions that you feel need to be answered before then, feel free to contact Ms. Carter, and she can answer. She told me she knows everything about it. So feel free to contact her with any of those questions that you might have. Do we have any fundraising, do we have any committee reports shadowing? Julie, you've got some.
Really quickly, I am on the teacher support. Today, if you have an hour or two to donate to proctor the French national exam, you do not have to speak French. From 9 to 10:40, we need one person, and basically
Today.
you're in a classroom today. In a classroom, and you hand out the tests, you write the time on the board, and you press a button on the CD player. It's pretty easy. 9 to 10:40 or 11:20 to 12:45. Come see me after the meeting.
I would like to take a minute, and Renee is way in the back, but I would just really like to take a minute to recognize her for her amazing. Over the last 3 years, I think you've probably done 2,100 shadow students. Most of us here have a child who have benefited from you, so thank you so very much for everything that you do, and I think you are officially done. But thank you very much. New parent receptions, Brooke?
Yeah, well, so they start on Saturday. There are 4 receptions that take place during the math placement test. So, I mean, I would just like to say, I guess for people in the video, we're still looking for volunteers for the second reception. I'm actually going to.
Yeah, come on up here. It's better than a voice, it sounds like God, right? If it's coming from
I'm
behind.
just gonna sit in the magnet man's chair.
Yeah.
I'm not as cool as he is. Okay. I do less work. Okay, so hi, I'm Brooke Wagon. I am running the new parent receptions. I'm taking over from Sandra Marks. So they're basically an opportunity for new rising 6th grade students' parents to have something to do during the math test. And our goal is to alleviate their concerns about Keeling. Not alleviate them in the sense that we tell them, oh, it's a cakewalk. Like we've got issues, right? Like it's, you have to get up early in the morning and you have to figure out how to do homework that's harder. But we want to talk about those things. So my goal in these receptions is to allow parents to have organic meetings with each other, where you might have never met a parent that only lives 3 miles from you because your kids have been at different elementary schools, but like, oh, you live south. Oh, I live south too. Then you've got 2 kids that can connect. The other one is to let them talk to current parents and current students about a variety of issues that they may have burning in their minds. So the receptions will be taking place right here in the library. We're going to have areas where people can come and ask a question about a topic. The topics will include homework load, transition to middle school, extracurricular activities, and I'm open to a 4th, transportation. Thank you. And so all of our current parents and students will have name tags, so it'll be easy to spot them, and it will say on their name tag what they are here to talk about. So if you as a parent are interested in talking about something, or you have a current 6th grader, or even a current 7th or 8th grader, I think that new rising parents really like to hear from the 6th graders about their experiences. Those will be taking place this Saturday from 1 to 3, Saturday the 29th from 9 to 11 and 1 to 3, and then there's an extra one that you can schedule by appointment with Patty Hill on a Thursday afternoon. But we'll also have a reception during that if there are enough people coming to take the math test. So that's the entirety of that job, but that's happening right now.
So
And people can sign up.
And actually, yeah, so there was a Hornet Herald announcement last week. There will be another one this coming week. It's very simple. We just serve cookies and water because it's not a cocktail party, it's a parent reception. And really, more than anything, I need more volunteers for the 29th and the 3rd. I have plenty of volunteers for this weekend. Yes?
Will translation be available for Spanish?
I am fluent. So, yes, sí puedo hablar con cada quien que necesita hablar en español. Y voy a estar en cada reunión que hay, y si hay hispanohablantes, puedo hacer lo que necesitamos. Sí.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think that's it.
Yeah, thank you again for taking this task on.
Let
We
me just
appreciate it.
mention that we're gonna be selling Keeling t-shirts
Oh,
also.
yeah, and I
We
didn't
sell
say-
a lot of Keeling t-shirts.
KMag PTA robotics. There's going to be representation of pretty much everything at those meetings, so people can sign up to volunteer. They can get information. I mean, there's going to be a variety of people there. Ms. Carter will be there. Yeah.
Are you gonna have maybe you should have a bubble for carpool where people can write down their neighborhood if they're seeking carpool, and then other people can write that down?
Great
Because,
idea. Yeah.
you know, that's a really hard thing for people to try to figure out who they can carpool with.
I will make one. Great. That's a great idea. Anything else? Yes. For the video, that Keeling Center stage tickets will be sold there. We're going to have pretty much, it's like a fair.
It'll be so exciting. Just come, it'll be fun. All right, do we have any more questions for Brooke? Michelle, I don't think you're here, and Jenny, you're not here for book club. We're gonna go on, our treasurer, do you have a report? We do not have a report right now. I'm trying to get out of here before the kids start taking us over. Do you have a report? Yep.
So Keeling PTA has been chosen to be in the selection to be Ingredients community partner. Ingredients is a small micro grocer on a Manor, and they sell locally sourced bulk items and fresh grocery, and they also have wine and beer on tap and some small food items. So if we're selected to be the community partner for the next 6-month period, Keeling PTA will get 5 cents every time somebody brings in their container to purchase the bulk items. So it's a completely no-cost fundraising activity for us. So the voting to become the community partner is only this week. You can go online, ingredients.com, it's in.ingredients.com, and scroll down, there's a little box that you can vote for Keeling PTA. And also in person at Ingredients, they have little jars that they would accept no fees, or all by the jars that you can vote, and there's no limit of the number of times you can vote, online or in person. So I went there for happy hour Tuesday, it was lovely, I had breakfast there, they serve loose leaf tea for tea, I mean, it's fantastic. So,
And voting is really easy. You just literally go on there and press one button. They don't ask you for contact information, anything. It's very easy.
yes. So please do that, and Keeling Center Stage, if anybody has any questions for me, please come to me afterwards. We are selling tickets. We're still accepting donations and sponsorships up till the 30th. It's going to be on April 5th, Saturday. We have, if you Google Keeling Center Stage 2014, you will it'll take you to our Eventbrite website. I think there are multiple links. We've sent multiple flyers around school. There are flyers by the door right now, a couple of stacks that you can take with you. Please come out and support Keeling PTA. It's our largest fundraising event for the year, and
It's a lot of fun.
we have live bands and food, vegetarian options.
A lot of
Yes.
teachers come.
Is it like casual, formal, what is it?
It's very awesome casual. You can wear anything.
Did you mention it's catered by Ruby's? It's a buffet, Ruby's Barbecue, that's right next door to Spider House, so you can get barbecue, but you could also get vegetarian jambalaya.
All right, does anyone have any questions for the PTA? All right, well, thank you for all that you do. Do we have any final questions? Oh, Laura.
Can I just add to the PTA report? So March 29th, not this Saturday, but the Saturday after, we're having a, from 10 to 1, we're having a grounds day for, pulling weeds and mulching. I don't need to come up there, it's okay. Pulling weeds, mulching, that kind of stuff, you want me to. And then on May 10th, I just want to tell people about our picnic bash. So we have the inaugural Keeling Garden Spring Harvest Picnic and Peace Through Pie Social. Such a mouthful. It's going to hopefully be an annual event, so it's from 11 to 4 on May 10th here back in the by our gardens, and it's going to be celebrating the gardens, the diversity of communities, cultures, cuisines represented at Keeling, and it's going to be building community through food. There's going to be games, all kinds of fun stuff. So save the date for
That's
that.
5/10?
Pardon me, May 10th.
And what's
So this, not this Saturday, the next Saturday, March 29th, is the grounds day. That's from 10 to 1. And then May 10th is the picnic bash.
What's the time on the picnic?
11 to 4. We're going to have old-fashioned games like three-legged race. It's for all families.
Yeah.
Anybody, community members.
Okay. The robotics
Oh,
is
is it?
trying to have a camp on that day, and I'm just thinking that might not be the best day to do camp. when
We all
you-
can coordinate.
Yeah, we'll have to
afterwards.
figure
Yeah.
Do that.
Me and Francois she has come up with all this, and she is amazing. So hopefully we'll have a really great event, and it'll be something just like Keeling Center Stage 3 years ago. It never occurred before, and now it's an annual event. So hopefully this picnic bash will be an annual event as well. So, any other questions about? So, thank you.
Laura.
One last thing for Keeling Center Stage. So we're selling tickets at the new parent reception this weekend, this Saturday, and also at the Family Fun and Fitness Night next Tuesday. So we'll accept credit cards on these events and also cash and checks, if you don't want to purchase online at Eventbrite.
Do we have any final questions? All right, thank you all very, very much for coming.